Perfect. Welcome everybody to DevLearn 24, and thank you for finding your way all the way back here to Stage A on the floor this morning and helping us kick things off. So my name's Tammy Rutherford. I am the Managing Director at Rustici Software in Watershed, and we are the specialists in the e-learning standards. So if you've ever heard the acronyms SCORM or XAPI or CMI5, chances are you found your way to us at some point in time. We simply put help all of the learning products that you'll find out here on the floor today and here in the conference work well together. So that means everything from making sure courses play in LMSs can track that content and capture that data. That's what those technical standards do, and that's what we've been doing for the past 22 years helping the industry. So that's a little bit more about who we are. What I'm really excited to have with me today is Cindy Henry, who is the AVP of Product and Financial Management for LOMA, who is one of the world's largest associations for insurance and financial services. They're celebrating their centennial this year, so a 100-year-old organization, and I'll let Cindy tell you a little bit more about LOMA and what they do and what we'll be talking about here today.
Well, as Tammy mentioned, LOMA's been around for more than 100 years, and for most of that time, our flagship product has been our designation programs. And our designation programs have been really successful over the years, but they are intense programs that are comprised of multiple courses that span 10 to 20 hours of instruction. And we've evolved over the years from the traditional 500-page textbook and a 100-page written exam, some of which even included essays. That was a grading nightmare, to doing things in a fully online format, but it still is an intense course of study. We decided a few years ago that we wanted to make sure that we provided continuing opportunities for our designees to remain relevant and continue their professional development. So we came up with the idea of creating a library of short online courses, micro-learning based, that they could use to continue to grow and expand their knowledge, and mostly to stay relevant. So we began to vet some of our members and ask them what they thought about a program like that. And in short, they really loved it. But we had an epiphany when one of our members said, "This sounds great. Why aren't you going to offer it to everybody?" And we thought, wow, that makes so much sense. Let's create a library of specific financial services content that will be available to everybody in the organization, whether they are a new hire or a more experienced employee, and that crosses all functional areas. So we knew that we could fill a gap in the market by offering these kinds of topics along with hot topics or trending topics that will give our members, employees, the opportunity to really stay on the cutting edge of knowledge as to what's being developed in the industry. So we chose to develop this, make it available to everyone as a subscription product that's sold as a volume purchase.
Awesome. So this is Industry Advantage, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And so what we're going to talk about today is Industry Advantage and where LOMA was with their journey as far as how do they bring this to market. So creating this library of micro-learning sounds fantastic, getting that feedback from your advisory board on the content itself, but there's some logistics that come along with this when you want to bring that kind of content to your members. And so Content Controller is where we ended up landing with LOMA to help bring Industry Advantage to their members. So one of the things we'll talk about here is what things look like when it comes to bringing your courses to multiple LMSs or to multiple members. And I think you had sort of a before, I call it the before times. Before you started using Content Controller and even maybe predating Industry Advantage, you had brought some of your courseware to your members before. What did that look like?
Well, we had two ways of distributing our programs to our members. One was through our LMS, where they would directly access our learning management system, and they'd set up an account, and they would enroll, and then they would consume the content through our systems. Well, some of our customers asked us if there was any way we could integrate that with their LMS. And we didn't have the option of content controller at the time, so the only way we could really accomplish that was to actually send them our course files. So we were sending them the courses in their entirety that they would load on their LMS. There were a myriad of administrative challenges that went along with this, everything from versioning to protecting intellectual property, controlling access, and incompatibility. And so we'll talk about that more, but it was, in short, a little bit of a nightmare.
Excellent. So yeah, so if we look at it this is sort of your before decentralized model is what we usually call this, where you've got courses living across multiple systems and keeping track of them, to something more of a centralized version of that on the after side, which we'll talk about here with content controller. But I think like as we move into the next section here and talk a little bit more about features and functionality, this is the quote that really blew my mind, because this came from your advisory board, right? As you were sort of figuring out what should we do with Industry Advantage, how do we design this, what do our members want? And it's clear, like, so this is they want the training, they want what's in the box, but not the box itself. That subject matter expertise, that 100 years of all of that expertise that's been built up. But please don't send our learners, our employees, to another system to have to figure out how to get there. It's going to hurt adoption. So I think this is one of my favorite quotes and sort of the inspiration for our theme today. So let's dive in more and talk a little bit more about what that is. Before we dig into some of the particular features, just to level set what Content Controller is as an application, it's a content distribution system. So it allows you to centrally manage and maintain your courseware, and then you distribute it out to your LMSs via what we call proxy files or links. So one of the things that Content Controller supports is multiple standards. So I mentioned earlier Rustici, we're into the acronyms. We love all of those standards. So you're able to import SCORM courses, AICC, LTI, CMI5, XAPI. All of those course content types can come into CC, as well as MP3, MP4, and PDF files. So whatever format your content is in, importing it into Content Controller, you manage it there. And then when you share access out for your customers, you create proxy files, which are basically pointer files back to the course in Content Controller. So it stays put. You have one master file, and all of your customers have access to that file. So you're sort of bringing the learner to the course versus bringing your courses to the learners, the way Cindy had expressed earlier. So those proxy files also support compatibility, which we'll talk about here in just a second. So you can share files out as SCORM, XAPI, CMI5, or as LTI. So you're able to sort of match pace with your customers from that standpoint. Within Content Controller, you have built-in tools for not only versioning, so updating your courses in one location. You also have built-in tools for access controls, like license management. And then there's some built-in reporting tools as well. So we'll get into all of that, but just to let you know, that's what Content Controller is as we keep talking about it. So I think the first and foremost, having those customers not having to go add another platform, but letting that content come meet them, meeting your customers where they are, is the really important piece here. So tell us a little bit more about the feedback you got from members for that.
Well, through Content Controller, we were able to provide our subscribers with the proxy files, as Tammy mentioned, for all of our Industry Advantage courses, which now number about 225. Content Controller enables us to let our subscribers access it in their preferred learning standard. And I have to say, it's been pretty seamless this year. In fact, I talked to a subscriber recently that is a longtime LMS administrator, and he said that in his years of putting content on their LMS. He's never had a process that was as simple and easy to navigate as this one was. So that made us feel really good because it was an entirely new distribution model for us. Another benefit that we encountered being able to use Content Controller had to do with establishing learning paths. And although we have predefined about 16 learning paths for our members, which they can use in their entirety, but because of the way the content's delivered, they're able to use just the courses they want. They're able to develop their own learning paths from our content exclusively, or they're able to incorporate our content into their own learning paths. So it's giving them the maximum flexibility for them to use the courses in the way they need to. Not the way we're telling them, but the way they feel it's going to benefit their organization the most. And from the subscribers' perspective, because all of Industry Advantage courses are available through their LMS, they can report through their LMS, and the only limit really is the functionality of their LMS. So once these courses have been loaded on their LMS, it functions just like any other course that would reside on their LMS regardless of provider.
Awesome. So yeah, so being able to bring that courseware into that system, I love the fact that you can actually enhance existing learning paths and really bolster the existing content library that that customer has or that member organization is huge. I think there's another benefit here when we talk about Content Controller and sort of meeting your members and helping reduce some of that administrative burden is when it comes to updating courses. So as I mentioned, you've got sort of your source of truth. You have a master library or a master course with Content Controller. You have that single course that you share access to across your members, which means you only have one thing to maintain. So every time you have an update, whether it's a typo or you're adding something, big like a regulatory change or something like that, you can continue to update and manage and maintain that course. And there's not the next level of administration that usually comes around with and making sure that everybody has the updated file and it's uploaded to the new LMS and it's assigned. None of that has to happen anymore. So when you have a change that shows up, you actually change it in Content Controller upon next launch, that change is automatically available. So really streamlining the administrative burden on both sides of things. So I think your members have given you all some pretty good feedback there.
They have, and it has been huge for us. It's been a game changer, really. In the past, when we distributed our course files to our members, whenever we made a change, no matter how small it was, we had to send them the new course. Then we had to rely on them to upload it. Didn't always happen, so we were constantly trying to make that happen. And of course, at LOMA, we pride ourselves on kind of being what we call as the single source of knowledge. We want our customers to come to us and rely on the information that we're providing them. And if we don't have control over the course that's out there and perhaps updates that we've made, we may not always be providing that information. So that was always a source of anxiety for us. And so sending out those revised files required effort from us, but it also required effort on the part of our customer. And we like to make things as easy for our customers as possible to do business with us. We don't want to make it an onerous task, because then what happens? They find someone else to do business with. So with Content Controller, we can make changes and revise elements, and it's completely invisible to our subscriber. The next time they log in, they have the updated content without any additional effort on their part. It has been great, and we are already utilizing that feature, not just to update courses that maybe have changes to content or regulation, but we have a mindset of continuous improvement with respect to Industry Advantage. And so we're always looking for ways to make our content more engaging and to make our students want to keep coming back to us. So we've been able to incorporate this mentality of continuous improvement and make these changes without putting the burden on our customers to have to constantly reload files. And honestly, I think that we've been able to do it so much more easily this way than if we had to ask our customers to reload these courses. And we might have made a different decision about the speed with which we wanted to do these kinds of enhancements. So it's been a great feature.
Awesome. Well, and that comes down to one of the features that we originally designed Content Controller for was this access control and making sure that publishers and people that create content, that's their product, that they have a way to protect their intellectual property. So in the before days, as I mentioned earlier, that decentralized model, you ended up with course files and source files that were out in the world. And so your customers had access to all of that IP, and you might not have the visibility that you wanted to how people are actually using your courses. How many people are taking the course? Do you want them to continue to have access forever? So this is, you've invested so much time, so LOMA's looking at this going continuous improvement and development of our courses, our knowledge, our expertise. Let's make sure that you all have the ability to see who's using it and to be able to control access, whether it's subscription management. So some of our publisher customers use the license management tools within Content Controller to manage subscriptions, whether it's turning access off when a limit's been met or a time frame has been met, expiring content, or giving their sales teams an opportunity to say, hey, you've got a lot of people subscribing to this or taking to it. Do you want to add seats to your license? So some of that license management allows you to just have that visibility and, again, that access to be able to say, keep going, or let's not do that anymore. So the keys are now in your hands to do that. So we've seen a lot of people take advantage of that piece of it. And then lastly, when we talk about the benefits here of having the centralized approach to content management, we've talked about versioning, so being able to keep it up to date, the compatibility across systems, and obviously the access here, but the data, what's happening. So there's how much is getting used, but I think now we want to talk more about the analytics and the reporting, what's happening in that learner session with that member organization, or even with that course. So now you have this ability to aggregate data across your entire member organization or user population. And LOMA, you all are taking that to the next level. So there's some built-in tools within Content Controller, but I think you all are taking some things even further outside of that.
Yeah, we're trying, and Content Controller provides a number of reports, but we wanted to develop some custom reports that addressed our subscribers' specific needs. And so with the help of our internal IT team, we were able to export data from Content Controller and put it into our data warehouse and then create dashboards through Tableau. And so by doing so, we are able to provide our customers with what they're looking for data-wise, but we also are able to use it for internal monitoring, which has been very, very helpful. We establish peer groups for our subscribers that allows them to see how their utilization is tracking against their peer group, the courses that their learners are taking and how that tracks with their peer group. And we're finding that the peer group aspect is something that our subscribers ask for. They like to know what other companies are doing and how successful the other companies have been. We track our most popular courses, which also our subscribers like to see, but for us, it's helped us be able to prioritize the courses that we are going to target, to enhance, to develop new content designs so that we're reaching the most subscribers that we can.
Awesome, yeah, so that ability to see across the library, to prioritize where do you invest your time, that's something that we all have challenges for, right? So we only have so much time, so how do you prioritize it? And having the ability to see utilization across a wide library helps you hone in on yes, let's continue to invest in this course. If you are handling multiple languages, so many of our customers support multiple languages with their content, you have to, that's a big investment. So are all of these languages, all of these translations getting used? We have seen places where people have actually taken insights to say, we can dial things back, or where do we continue to invest in the courses that are being used, and where do we prune and trim our library based on what we're seeing from take rates. So big benefit there from a content management standpoint. Content Controller does let you see this not only at the title level across all of your accounts or your customers, but you can dive deep at the learner level as well. So you can get down to question and answer level detail. You can see that at the learner level or at the course level, and again, it helps give you those insights to decide what's working, what's not, where do I invest my time, where do I take this further. And I really love that at LOMA you guys have taken this to say, and then the benchmarking and the peer groups that you're looking at to say, in our world, what are we seeing and learning? Without that aggregate visibility, you wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, and we're developing kind of benchmarks across the program. So we do heat maps every month to help us identify companies that we may need to reach out to. You know, are they doing great, and maybe they're a target for some additional seats that they need to enhance the program in their organizations. Or if companies maybe are lagging behind in their utilization, we know that we can get to them quickly and be able to address any kind of concerns or issues they might have.
So yeah, so I think, believe it or not, so as we've been talking, you all did the pilot or soft launch in August of 23. So the Industry Advantage program has been out now. I think you did the full launch in January, so we have almost a year's worth of data at this point for the production or the official launch. And it's really skyrocketed.
We've done very well. You know, crucial to the development of Industry Advantage was the input and guidance of an advisory board made up of L&D professionals from our member companies. And they were tasked with helping us determine the direction and the future of Industry Advantage. And as Tammy said, that quote came from our advisory board about not wanting the box. So they were instrumental in leading us down this path where we ultimately selected Content Controller. So by the time we were ready to launch Industry Advantage, we chose to launch with only those 10 advisory board members. And we did a 90-day trial. And this gave us an opportunity to work out any kind of administrative kinks, and also to make sure that we had created effective training for our subscribers, internal training, and also provide them with the tools they needed to launch Industry Advantage effectively in their organizations. So the trial went well, and we were ready to launch to our full customer base in January of 2024. Now, of course, we're still learning things about the process, and we're tweaking as we go along. But from our subscribers' perspective, it has been extremely well received. Learners have taken more than 30,000 courses to date. And a recent survey we did revealed an NPS of 64, and we actually met our first year sales goals last month in October. So we really feel very, very positive about that. And we also were very excited that we won the Brandon Hall Award of Excellence for Learning and Development, which I think for a first year product was super. And we were very proud of that. But I also believe that it's our partnership with Rustici that has played a significant role in helping us achieve these milestones. We're very grateful for the support. We go back a number of years, and they've always been there for us, and I think that they've kind of helped guide us along the way as well. So I think it's definitely been a collaborative process.
Thanks, it absolutely has. And we've learned a lot from LOMA. So one of the things that we've been talking to Cindy and Jean and the team at LOMA about is the adoption rate. So their team has really done some great things around change management and getting the courses out to their customers and those peer groups and actually doing the work to, it's one thing to build the course and maintain it, it's another thing to make it easy for it to get into the LMS. But there's still that marketing moment after that. How do you reduce that friction and make sure that learners are actually finding their way to the courses? And we've learned a lot along the way from the team at LOMA and actually how to do that. And they've given us some great best practices that we've shared with other customers as well to help for that client onboarding. So it's a very reciprocal relationship, and it's been a lot of fun working with y'all, especially for just 1 year in, and we've seen a lot. So thank you for joining me. Thank you all for joining us. That is what we have today around Content Controller and LOMA. You can find us at booth 435. So if you have further questions, we'll hang around here for a little bit. And if you're not sick of acronyms yet, you're going to see a few more here underneath. We have a few more speaking sessions this week. Friday is a big day. Chris Tompkins is going to be speaking 3 times. I'll help give him a little bit of relief during one of those sessions. But if AI or XAPI are on your docket this week, feel free to check out those sessions or just come chat with us at booth 435. So thanks all. Thank you for kicking off DevLearn with us.